Well, good morning. How about a little Fleabay edition here? And a few things that I've looked at over the last few days that are kind of worth taking note of. Now, we want to bear in mind when I look at this stuff, I'm always looking for what's wrong with it because I tend to believe the worst in most of these Fleabay sellers here. Um, there are some stuff that maybe is actually legitimate here, especially in this one. But there's some things that kind of flag to me now. They may or may not be a issue at all. It may be something that I'm misreading, or it may be a legitimate mistake on the part of the sellers. But anyway, just bear in mind, I always look for the ones that are screwing us over. And when I see something that looks too good to be true, no matter what the pricing is, when I look at them condition wise, and they appear to be too good to be true, I am definitely of the belief that they are too good to be true. So even when something's been redone and a very good job has been done on refurbishing something, I tend to look for things that may kind of flag things that may be hidden. Like I say, I could occasionally be mistaken, but that's the way we approach these little things. Now, looking at Atlas Mills. First thing here, and this is a new listing, Atlas Craftsman Lathe Cross Slide with Milling Attachment Vise. $95 your best offer and $13.58 shipping. Now, when we look at this, this is a seller that's been around for a while. I don't necessarily recognize the the seller, but nonetheless, and if we read the description, it is Atlas Craftsman Lathe Cross Slide with Milling Attachment Vise. This fits most Atlas and Craftsman lathes 9 to 12 inch swing. This is misleading as hell. When we look at this, and we'll just look at the big pictures, this is the slide portion with the vise portion of a vertical milling attachment. This has nothing to do with mounting on the cross slide of a lathe. I suppose in some instances, if you wanted to do a boring operation, you could mount this on a cross slide and have to adjust your stock to where you wanted to drill it or bore it, whatever you were cutting with the headstock and aligning it. It's not what it is at all. This is just, to me, this is misrepresented, or the seller's foolish enough he doesn't know what's going on. You've got the vise, you've got the slide, and you've got the gib there, and whatever is associated with those parts for a milling attachment. But why would you need it? Why would you buy a portion of an attachment that is going to do absolutely nothing for you? I suppose if you've got a vise that's busted, been drilled 8 dozen times, welded up, and all that good stuff, why, it might have some applications. But when I look at these, value-wise, they want $95 for it, or best offer. It's worth half of that. And that's being generous only because the parts are good, usable parts if you were to need them. But, $50 in your door. That's all it's worth. Don't waste your money. Don't be sucked in by this misrepresentation of parts. On down on milling stuff, there's a motor base assembly, countershaft hangers and stuff. This countershaft hanger stuff, $600. Buy it now. These people are smoking dope. I'm not even going to look at that. 10-12 inch milling attachment for $500 they're wanting, and it's listed as new open box. None of this stuff, I don't care if it hasn't been used, is new. This is a seller that's been around for a little while. I wasn't going to look at this, but what's the description say? New open box and excellent new condition. Okay. No description whatsoever underneath it. $500, buy it now. $35 shipping. And we're, when we say new open box, no, it's not new. I don't care if it's never been used. It's not new. It's been around for 50 years, and why would you do that? I believe I looked at this, and I looked at it fairly close. If it's been used, I do not believe it's been used very much. Looking at the condition of the slideways and everything, it is in pretty good condition. Now this is one thing that did flag to me, and there again, if you're more interested in this, you can go back and look at the close-up pictures. Now see, I wonder, I should go back and see if this has been revised. I think that there was a description with this that indicated that it had never been used and all that good stuff. When we look right here at the base, that's been mounted on a cross slide, you know, and you've got some pitting there, as I recollect, right along that seam line like you'll normally get, or on the edge of the lower casting on your compound there. That's been mounted on a machine. You know, I don't see hardly any, if anywhere, on the ways, on the sliding portions. But when you look at this, why, paint's pretty well worn off, brushed off. See, look at all this paint on here. I know one of the things that I looked at, and we'll go back and look at the close-up pictures on this a little bit. This has been, something's been done to this one. Let's go back and look at the close-up pictures and see if anything jumps out at me here. One of the things to bear in mind when we look at the side of the mounting surfaces in the right-hand side of this, right below the lock screw, and these have been, all these screws have been polished off. You know, this has been cleaned up, it looks like to me. The paint is not in great shape, but when we look at the right-hand side of this on the vertical portion that would be right above where it mounts on the machine itself, you see that's painted there in that area. Keep that in mind there. Now, I don't really see anything that flags bad, other than the paint's awful slim, if this is or awful thin, if this is a brand new, never been used, open box type thing. So that was on the, let's go back to that picture, that was on the right hand side. It would be on the outboard side of what you're looking at. Now, if I remember correctly, let's go on here and look at this a little bit. There again, when you look at this, which would be the other side, there's no paint on that vertical surface. That's all been rubbed off of there. This has been reworked, wire brushed off. That's wire brush, I would assume, because when we look at where it transitions onto the horizontal surface right there in the lower front, you know, lower right hand corner of this picture, why, you can see where it looks like it's been wire brushed off as the paint's gone on up on top. This has had stuff done to it. Had stuff done. There's way too much paint gone, and too many shiny surfaces, too many places on screws and things like that tell me that this has been polished on, worked on. See, why do we have a little bit of paint on that machine's surface there? That, you know, it's possible that was there from the factory, but I think this has been, I think we've had some things that have been hidden on this attachment, and then to want $500 for it. No, these attachments are worth $250 maybe, half price what they're asking. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. There was something on down here that caught my attention. Now there's okay, we've got a guy that's parting out a horizontal mill. It's the lighter green colored machine. We've seen several parts from this machine listed here lately. Gear guard side cover with mounting bolts, $95. And I'm not really even going to look at this. This is, if we look at it, there's a little bit of rust showing on some of these places. When you look at the other parts that are listed, like the table down here that he's wanting fairly big bucks for, this is a rusted up piece of crap. There again, back to the same old thing, don't buy these parts. Horizontal milling machine, M156 cross slide gib with 3 screws, 6 inches long, $45. Buy it now, make an offer. We're just going to look at the one big picture. All you're getting is a well-worn gib and 3 of the screws. Now we'll notice later on there should be 4 screws on here, 3 screws, and then there's a locking knob that locks the gib in position or locks that whatever slide that is in position. He's selling those separately. They're pieces of crap. You know, this, we can build this gib for you know, $5 if we want to spend a little bit of time in the shop. The screws, we've talked about them before, you know, about $2 a piece for a screw and a nut probably. So don't waste your money on this junk. Don't waste your money. Not even gonna look at the rest of them. Got one of the other gibs on it, same price, $45, exact same thing. He's got the table down here, M1-4 table, pre-owned, $250 or best offer and free shipping. The table's in good condition. It doesn't look like it's been drilled or anything like that. There again, we're just going to look at the thing. All of these surfaces are well rusted. Don't waste your money on this junk. You know why? You're not gaining anything by trying to put this table on a machine you've already got. Waste of money. I'm not going to spend any time looking at the rest of the pictures. Conditions the same. He's got the MF29 gear guard cover, which is a flip open cover. I'm not even going to look at it. Change-o-matic door, $75 best offer. No, on a good day, that's a $30 door. Same way, the M15 cross slide plate, which we've discussed this extensively because this is the one that I searched for and ended up and gave about $35 for. He's wanting $95 for it. No, 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 no. On down, I'll skip on down. He's got the end plates for the table for $45 a piece and the 2 screws that hold it on. He's got the knee gib locks, which go with those gibs. Each of them is listed $25 or best offer. Now, if these were good knobs, I would say that is a fair price. I don't think it's a good price, but I think it's a fair price. And I'm not going to look too extensively at it, other than we'll look at, well, we can go back and quickly look at the big pictures. This is the second picture. This knob's all crashed up. You know, it's been ground off, been busted off, something like that. You know, it's not worth $25. That's if you're gonna buy that, $10 in your door. That's all they're worth. Don't be sucked in by these pieces of crap. You know, he's got the M152 side cover plate with speed chart label. He wants $125 for it. No, that's a $30 part. This is junk. Junk, 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 junk. On down, we've got our milling machine attachment vice jaws, 3/8 by 7/8 by whatever they are, which is about 3/8 thick. The ones that I build for 10 or 12 bucks. Here they want $40. This is a seller that's had them. Anyway, we're not going to waste time on this stuff. There were some other things. Now, there is one other thing that I've jumped by, and this is from actually the same seller that sells a bunch of new overpriced parts. A original Marvin vertical milling head attachment for Atlas milling machines. He wants $14.99.99 or best offer and $18 shipping. This has been listed for a few days. It's in my watch list just because I gather a little bit of information and dimensions off of these things that I see. Description. Super rare and original Marvin USA vertical milling machine attachment. Fits the Atlas Craftsman milling machines. New belt. Everything else you need to use right away. Holds 3/8 shank tools. Okay. So this actually is a original Marvin head, and we'll just look at the big pictures. Paint's been pretty well chipped off of it. Now this guy offers a reproduction of the Marvin head, or his rendition of it, whether he builds it, whether he has it built, no matter what the case may be. When you look at them, why, there's a little bit of difference. His is a built-up part rather than castings, and there's some other differences in them that he's made, pulley size and some things like that, I believe. Now, this looks to be complete. You know, I have no problem with the attachment itself. $14.99. You know, if you're really after a Marvin head, that's probably, I think it's a little high, but it's probably not too far out of line. For an original, I would assume this one is well used and abused. And we can just look at the pictures. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. It's only interesting because you don't see a tremendous amount of Marvin heads. There's some around, and they appear occasionally. But you know, chances are over the years this is pretty well worn, both in the pulley shafts and in the casting. I believe these all just run on on the surfaces themselves is my guess. I do not honestly know, but there's a mounting onto the heads. This I only find interesting because I kind of gather up all the information I can on this Marvin vertical head. I've got some drawings on my drawing board already for some things, and I think some improvements can be made. These are a head that could prove to be useful on a machine, although they're again limited usefulness. They are limited by the fact that, like this one, takes a 3/8 bit, which is, you know, fine, but you don't have any versatility for using anything else other than that. I don't believe these are interchangeable. I don't believe you can do anything. I think they hold a 3/8 shank tool, and that's about it. So anyway, just wanted to touch base there. That's all that I really found interesting that I'm going to take any time looking at today. We go on up here and let's go to the Atlas Shapers. I don't know that there was anything. Yeah, I don't think there's anything here that we haven't seen. There was a shaper door listed, which somebody's apparently bought. I should look in my watch list. This one seller has these shaper covers, the original, the large one for $400 and $60 shipping, the small one for $400 and $21.50 shipping. We've talked about those. That's just a ripoff. Let's go on and look at lathes here. Now there's a bunch of new old stock, mainly 6-inch parts here for 618. And these are all new listings. There's a couple of them here. New old stock, and I would assume that most of these are new old stock parts. And I'll just look at, I'm going to skip the first one. Let's look at the second one here. 5 Atlas Craftsman 6-inch metal lathe change gears, M6 101, 56.54, 52, 44, and 24. New old stock, brand new. $49.99 with 0 bids and $16.10 shipping. And there's 3 or 4 listings here. This is a fairly new seller. And it says 5 Atlas Craftsman 6-inch metal lathe change gears. New old stock are still in the unopened plastic bags. And I think we'll just look at the big pictures rather than zooming in, and if you're interested you can go back and look. Whether these are new old stock or not, you know, to me, unless they are newly manufactured by clausing, they are going to be used parts. You know, we've kind of talked before, if they're sitting in somebody's grandpa's drawer and they've been there in the original packaging for 50 years, they're still a used part because they've started to deteriorate, you know, depending on how they've been stored, what the condition is. And I noticed this on a couple of the things that he was showing. And the problem with this is you can't actually tell true condition of these parts when they're in these plastic bags like this. So maybe you're going to get a good part, maybe you're not. When I looked at these and when I looked at them a little bit closer, you can see some markings on the edge of these teeth. Now, those may very well be brand new. They may be pieces that had casting defects in them when they were originally made. Those may be signs of deterioration. You just honestly do not know what you're looking at. When I looked at some of these, I believe when I looked at them close up, there was some indication that some of these gears were a little bit thin. They were not shark toothed up bad, but they had some indication. See, looking at these pictures, you can't tell what you're buying. You know, you're gonna pay your money and take your chances on these. I personally would be leery of doing that. You may get a good part, you may not. You know. And several things like that. These are all starting off on bids or best offer and then shipping. Now here's a new listing for a Craftsman Atlas 4-jaw independent lathe chuck, new old stock, $75. It's on an auction on bids and $16.10 expedited shipping. This is the little 4-inch Craftsman chuck that I had shown that I had one of these when we were talking about chucks here a while back, and it says Atlas Craftsman, or Craftsman Atlas 4J independent lathe chuck, new old stock. Appears new. Some rust and staining. Please look at pictures. 1 in 10 thread. Key may not be factory, but it fits. Ships only to lower 48 states. This is going to lead us to believe that this is a new old stock item, and condition shows new when we look at condition on it. First picture, let's just look at the big ones. First picture shows the box, 4-inch independent, you know, made in England. This is, I believe, the exact same chuck that I have here. When we look at the second picture, that looks like it's pretty grungy looking. You know, we see rust and stuff here on several places, but when we look at along the edges and stuff, maybe that's storage grime, but I'm saying this is a new, or this is a used part. I don't believe this is new old stock. Now, we don't know if this is original or not. Well, when you've got something that's threaded on the ends and got acorn nuts on it and sliding back and forth where it appearance is completely different than the shaft and stuff, you can pretty much bet that this is not original. You know, maybe the shank is original and they bent or broke the handle and have replaced it with that. Who knows? But no, this is not. Look at all the rust on the back of that. This is a piece of shit. Oh no, this is a direct mount, so this is a little bit different than the one I've got. We talked about direct mounts on these here in a previous video, and this may actually be the same chuck. I don't know, but anyway, these have very limited appeal to me. Anyway, and I think the only other thing that I really want to touch on here, let me flash on down through a few of these other ones. Oh, there's a couple of them here. There's two. Both of them I have issues with. One of them is back to 3D printed stuff. New listing, Atlas Craftsman 40-tooth 10 and 12-inch lathe, 3/4 keyed bore gear, nylon, USA made, brand new, $17 plus $5 shipping. And it's going to show some pictures here. Let's read the description, and I'll tell you why I have problems. New Atlas Craftsman 9, 10, and 12 lathe, change gear, 40-tooth nylon gear, 9-101-40A. This gear is made in the USA of high-quality nylon material, much like many production gears. Don't waste money on PLA, ABS, or PETG. There's a reason they don't make gears out of these materials. They don't last and might damage your fragile Zamac original gears. Nylon is the gear material of choice, and we've got exclamation points after it just to show how well it is, how much better it is, and how important it is to have that against your fragile Zamac original gears. This is for one well-made gear and nothing else. Does not include the bushing shown, only as an example of tight fit. Well, in my experience, when you're 3D printing stuff off, usually you do get a little bit of a tight fit because it's not that perfect dimensionally. Now the difference is, and I agree, if you're going to have plastic gears, which I do not believe belong on your Atlas gear, they need to be Zamac or aluminum. Said that before. I believe that. You know, you get guys that are printing these in the comments will say, oh no, they work great. They work great. They're perfect. They're excellent. Nylon is probably the material if you're going to have a plastic gear. The difference is the production gears that are made out of nylon are produced out of nylon rod, nylon sheet, and they are cut gears. These are 3D printed. They are not going to hold up as well, and long term they are going to deteriorate. I don't care what these guys tell you. Don't put this junk on your machine. You know, if you look at them up close, you're going to see the printing marks on them. Long term, they are going to, unless they were perfectly made, they're going to separate on the layers. They're going to break down, and they are going to be a disposable item. So if a PLA and ABS gear will self-destruct itself and damage your other original equipment stuff, why is this going to be any better, other than this is going to be a tougher material? But nonetheless, it's not going to hold up long term. Don't put this shit on your machines. Okay, there's that one. The only other one And this one I have mixed feelings about, and I've looked at it fairly closely. Quite a few parts in the interim here and a few others that I've looked at, but not going to take the time to stop on. I believe it's on the second page now. I believe I looked at this one yesterday or the day before. Atlas Craftsman, excellent 12-inch commercial lathe compound rest assembly, pre-owned, $350 or best offer and $510.70 shipping, or $51.70 shipping. Atlas Craftsman, excellent 12-inch commercial lathe compound rest assembly, excellent working condition. Now, this is this seller's got relatively little feedback. He's got really little feedback. Now, when I started doing this little series, my thing was to make Atlas machines affordable again. Make Atlas machines affordable again. It amazes me how little imagination a Fleabay seller will have. How little imagination that people have to steal your sayings or slightly modify them so that they're doing great things. It also says make an offer in big red letters when you get to the description. Excellent Atlas Craftsman 12-inch commercial lathe with upper swivel and locking pins, complete lubricated and ready to install. The compound rest was removed from a fully functional and working Atlas Craftsman 12-inch commercial lathe. Well, I guess it's not functional and reliable now, is it? Dumbasses. And on down, when you look at the whole listing of all the individual parts that's there, why, you look in great big black letters, making Atlas machines excellent again. So we're not making them affordable, we're going to make them excellent. Excellent again. Yeah, well, I think I've seen him use this same saying before and didn't say anything, but nonetheless, doesn't matter. So this compound rest, and bear in mind, even I don't do that much with commercials. I don't do anything with the commercials other than look at them here. $350 for a compound rest assembly, and you probably should go back and look at this. If you really look, you can buy a complete machine, and that's one of the things to keep in mind with all of these machines. If you go and look, you should be able to find a complete Atlas lathe like I normally look at in that $800 to $1,200 range, depending on the tooling and everything. Now they're wanting more than that, but that's about what they're worth. When you look at commercial stuff, the bigger commercial machines, the ones I've seen, they're normally in that, $1,500 to $2,000, maybe $2,500 for a complete machine. Here for just a compound rest assembly, even if you really needed one, and this one was in a whole lot better shape, when you look at proportionally how much of that machine you're buying with the compound rest assembly, $350 is way overpriced. It should be half of that. Half. 150, maybe $175. Now, this one is in really good looking condition. And I guess we'll just look at the big pictures here. And this comes back to that thing of when something appears to be too good to be true, it probably is. This assembly looks really good. The paint looks pristine on it. You don't see any rust, you don't see anything, but I look for the small stuff. And maybe we should go back and look at some of the smaller pictures, but maybe I'll just leave that for you because I don't want to spend too much time. When you look at this, we've got no dirt, no nothing. The brass nut is nice and shiny on top, been scuffed down. The lead screw, it looks pristine. This looks like it's brand new, which means it's been completely redone. This may very well be in absolutely excellent condition. I can't really tell other than the things that I look for. And let's look at this picture a little bit closer maybe here. This to me maybe nothing, maybe something. And this is one of those things where I can't honestly tell. When I look at the top of this compound, it looks really, really good. When I look at and all we're looking at is the polished portions or the ground portions on top. When I look at the right hand side, I look at all those cross hatches going, you know, horizontally to the table. When I look at the left hand jaw, how come we have a crosshatch pattern going both ways? Now, they don't match. And I've looked at this several different ways, and I don't see, they just don't match. So if this was decked off on a milling machine, on a Blanchard grinder, all those markings would be, I would think, completely in line with each other as it went in that circular pattern. Why is it we see, and part of it could be the angle of your milling head or your Blanchard grindered head, as it traverses across one way, it's going to cut or grind going back the other way. If it's not trammed in 100% perfect way, it could leave a little bit of tracking on the other, going the other direction. But these don't match. I don't see any way. So to me, that indicates that it's been remachined, I guess, with, I don't know, I can't even say one side at a time. It looks wrong to me. So that's what I'm looking at when I say I think, I look for the worst and stuff. So anyway, that's the main thing that flagged to me. This may be a really good part. Is it worth $350? No, it's not. It's worth $150 is all it's worth. Same way looking at this bottom. If this was on a working machine, it looks like that whole bottom has been machined off. I don't see a definite pattern on there saying that this has been on a machine without being reworked. I think this part has been, or these parts have been extensively reworked. When you look at the screws, of course, that's been repainted. I don't even think that's a finish. But one screw, the left-hand screw is black. The right-hand screw doesn't match. The dials are all. This all looks way too good to be true to me. Been crashed right there. You see a mark, but it's all painted over, and so this has been completely reworked. Looks like it's been crashed on both sides, probably. See a mark on the other side there too. Yeah, this is, what are we hiding with all of this? What are we hiding? What are we hiding? What are we hiding? See, there's those same marks on top. Look at the left-hand jaw, how you've got intersecting crosshatch marks. On the right-hand jaw, you don't have that. They all just go vertically. So are those surfaces even level? Has one side been machined off, whereas the other's not been? Yeah, to me, looks too good to be true. Looks too good to be true. Big gouge mark there in the right upper corner. There again, doesn't just look cleaned up, polished, or any of that. Looks like remachined, and who knows what's been done there. When you start looking at this, my advice is run. There again, you look at those surfaces, maybe the crosshatch, or maybe the pattern is the same. When you're looking on the lower surface of that slide, one side looks a lot more worn than the other. Been reworked, but I question how well it was reworked. Huh. Run, guys, run. Run. Anyway, that's it for today. I got some other editing to do too for a guy. There is the hardwood lathe cabinet, machine cabinet, W101, W102. This has been listed. We've talked about it before. This started out at $4.99, I believe, or best offer and free local pickup. It's been now down to $4.45 with no bids or best offer, free local pickup. I said before, we talked about this quite a while ago. This has been relisted several times. They just keep relisting it. It did, like I say, come down to $4.45. No, way too much money. Way too much money. Way too much. Lathe link belt, no maker model, 45-inch circumference, used on 4L pulleys, pre-owned, $15 with one bid, $12.50 shipping. Why would you give 15, 20, $27.50 for a used old piece of crap when you can go and spend, what, $35 for a new link belt? And I'm not a link belt fan, but nonetheless. Atlas Craftsman part number 10, 427, two-sheaf countershaft driven pulley, missing web. This is one of the countershaft pulleys, the great big one that's got the 4 little swirly sprockets in it that they try and get $100 for, $150 for, or something that are worth about $50. Here's $35.95 and $12.95 shipping. It's got a web busted out of it. Why would anybody even think you're stupid enough to bid on something? You're never going to be able to repair that and have it balanced right. And no, God. Just, the list goes on and on. Anyway, Fleabay at its finest. We just experienced its finest right there. Anyway, hopefully you guys have a good weekend, what's left of it. Comment, suggestion, leave them in the comment section for me below. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.